I think we have to contextualize this in terms of history, that all of the ancient world traditions accepted that time is cyclical, and we start out at a golden age and we gradually fall to a silver age and then a copper and then an iron age. Kali Yuga is the name for that iron age in the Indian tradition. And it is that time period when the human nature, which is a variable, not a constant, has grown a certain kind of an ego that never existed in earlier times. The postmodern ego is extremely fragmented, dissociated, repressed and censored, and completely out of touch with reality. And this ego structure has been in part engineered by forces that wanted to disempower the individual so that those centralized ruling elites would not have any rivals. So we also see social movements in which the clans were destroyed and the families and the farmers, and we had urbanization, and then an educational system that dumbed people down, and deliberate loss of critical thinking and psychological maturity, et cetera, et cetera. So there has been an extraordinary move of disinformation and disempowerment that has brought about what is now openly called mass psychosis. And it is a fact. And I would say that the norm of the ego today is a psychotic state of consciousness. And in psychoanalysis, they speak of a particular form of psychosis that they call normosis, or someone who is normotic, which means a psychotic desperation to look normal. But they are completely out of their right mind and trying to fit in and follow the herd and do what they're supposed to and virtue signal and all of those things that we all know about. And underneath that, a total confusion, anxiety, dread, and inability to function. And more people are losing it, committing suicide, murder and suicide, and they're going berserk in every possible way. So we literally see the destruction of the human spirit happening in the world today, nothing less than that. So not only social decomposition and collapse of the social order, which is also deliberately engineered, which is now bringing food shortages and, as you see, wars and building up to a global war, but the actual psychological state of the individual is already destroyed. There's no access to the heart, no access to love, no, not even a belief in love, let alone a belief in God. And so most people are really in a very wrecked condition psychologically and spiritually. And many people who are trying to heal from that come to the ashram to try to receive healing through meditation and individual work and all of that. But the ego still holds on tenaciously to its delusions out of that fear of letting go and being totally lost. And so it's a very pitiable condition that the human being has reached in these last days, which is why, in a way, there's a merciful end that God has planned so that people's suffering can end as quickly as possible, and a new world can take its place. So the kingdom of heaven is real, and although people have lost belief in that, nonetheless, at the same time, very interestingly, science itself is beginning to show that the world is what they call a simulation, is actually very much like something computer generated, and quantum physics is supporting that. But this is really a replication of the ancient idea of Maya. of the world as a dream, as an illusion. And in fact, that is the case. It's created by consciousness. And as our consciousness loses its integrity and coherence and becomes the kind of egos that we have today, we project a world that is filled with conflicts. So there's a feedback loop. We can't say that the world has caused the ego to degenerate, because it's also true that the ego has caused the world to degenerate. And this feedback loop between subjectivity and objectivity is always at work.